Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. All praises to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, forever and ever, so let it be true. Love, honor, and respect to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and to His Holy Son, Yahweh Shai, who died for the 12 tribes of Israel. Matthew chapter 15, verse 24, Matthew chapter 10, verse 5 and 6. And double honors to the apostles of GMS, to the 4 major prophets, to the 12 minor prophets, and to the hopeful elect, the brothers, the Akim, the 144,000 preaching the word of God on the 4 corners of this earth, risking their lives day in and day out. And peace and blessings to my brothers, sisters, and children who are watching this video. Today's video is going to be the Middle East news. Every day I'll be bringing out news coming out of Ukraine, Russia, the Middle East, and China and Taiwan. And I'll be breaking down the U.S. economy, the stock market, the housing market, everything. I'm going to start pushing. I found me a nice little spot here, so I can start pushing more videos every single day. So let's go to, I'm going to start with, I'm a few days behind because the news is changing by the hour. This is a few days back when the Houthis claimed attack on Saudi oil refinery as Iran war widens to the Red Sea. And the Houthis, they're a proxy military army of Iran. Okay, you have Iran has proxies in Iraq, Lebanon. You know, they're one body of Iran. Just like the United States, we have proxies, we have mercenaries fighting in Ukraine, killing Russians. Right? This is a secret. All right, they don't want your American civilians to know what's really going on. Okay? When it comes to war, it's serious business. They don't want the public to know all the evil that's taken place on the 4 corners of this earth. So, this is a world war that's happening right now in the Middle East, and this is the Houthis. The Houthis, they joined in, and they're hitting targets in Saudi Arabia. So the Houthis claim attack on Saudi oil refinery as Iran war widens to Red Sea. The strikes by Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels could add to the pressure on global oil markets on top of disruptions caused by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Houthi missile and drone strikes on Saudi Arabia's oil assets represent a significant strategic hit that has contributed to a major price surge, pushing global oil prices above $100 a barrel. That was last week. Since then, it's come down, but that's market manipulation here in the United States, because Donald Trump and your politicians are protecting the corporations, business, because they don't want people to, they don't want bank runs, bank holidays. Right now, like I said, they're in the protection of protecting these major corporations. All right, and they own and control the oil corporations here in the United States and global. You know, they're in collusion with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan, all these Arabic states, and there's a lot of money involved. So right now it's market manipulation, just like with gold and silver. It's only the stronger are going to survive. Everybody that's has their money in that system, they're going to lose everything. Okay, but right now, it's all market manipulation. We're going to get into it. So let's go on. Last week it hit $100 a barrel. It should be right now. It should be 150 to 175 a barrel. With all the destruction that happened in the Middle East. Okay, but you're going to feel the pain in the coming months. The world is going to feel the pain, but Americans are going to feel it. They're going to feel it extra hard here in America because they're spoiled, rotten here in America. Your third world countries around the world, they're not like America. They live more of a hard life than we do here in America. We live a charmed life. So that's why we're gonna get hit hard here. Okay, with your electric, your public service bills, and your gasoline. Okay. There's gonna be gasoline, but it's gonna be very expensive in the coming months. Impact of the strike was a big hit. The multi-pronged offensive targeting Saudi Arabia's Red Sea infrastructure has broken years of relative calm and reopened a massive conflict front, targeting Aramco facilities. Houthi militants launched massive salvo and ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drone targets. Cruise missiles, drones targeting state oil giant Saudi Aramco. Militants launched massive attacks. Cruise missiles, drones targeting state oil giant Saudi Aramco facilities. In the western port of cities of Jizan. I have to write some of these Arabic names because they're, you gotta pronounce it right. And the other city is, so you have Jizan, and Yabu. Physical damage. A major fire and columns of smoke erupted at the Jizan refinery, disrupting fuel and oil shortages sites, choking the alternative route, with the nearby Strait of Hormuz highly volatile due to the broader U.S.-Iran conflict. Saudi Arabia relied on its Ras West pipeline to pump oil safely into the Yanbu on the Red Sea by hitting. It says the Houthis have successfully threatened Saudi Arabia's critical backup export corridor, The IRGC's deep involvement in weapons supply. The IRGC heavily arms the Houthis, providing advanced components for long-range missiles, long-range ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and suicide drones. This is Iran. They send short-range missiles, drones to hit Saudi Arabia and U.S. assets, U.S. military bases. So their arms can reach all over the Middle East with their proxy armies. It says deep involvement, weapon supply. The IRGC heavily arms the Houthis, providing advanced components for long-range ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and suicide drones. Recent escalation and the Iran war context. The issue of the IRGC influence has escalated due to direct conflict between the United States and Iran. Coordinated pressure amid a broader war involving direct U.S. strikes on Iranian positions. Iran has increasingly leaned on the Houthis to open a secondary front against American allies. Like I said, this war is just going to escalate, and it's going to be called the Forever War. Okay? And according to the Holy Book, in the book of Joel, in the book of Ezekiel, in the Holy Book of Jeremiah, the Holy Book of Revelation, Iran is going to destroy the West with the help of Russia and China. So, about a week ago, because here in the West, you're hearing lies after lies. Donald Trump, he's a pathological liar. He says there's peace deals going on. It's one lie after another, and that they have control of the Strait of the Persian Gulf, okay, which is not true. So Iran claims complete control of the Strait of Hormuz. Okay? They've been in control before this war, during the war, and today. Okay? Iran mercilessly mocks Donald Trump. Iran says it still controls the Strait of Hormuz. Not seeking talks. After Trump halts bombing, that was last weekend. Last Friday, he says they were gonna bomb Iran to the Stone Age. This is a president that the Rothschilds put the right man in charge. He's an actor. He's a puppet. Okay, but they put the right man in there with his pride, his arrogance, and his rhetoric. This guy, they put the right man. They put the whole earth in flames. Okay? That's his thing. He loves to make threats. Okay? He loves to make threats. And that's what he did last Thursday, Friday. He said if they didn't come to make a deal, he was going to bomb to Kingdom Come. Okay? Did he back down? Okay? Because Iran can hit all U.S. assets, Israel, all the Arabic states could be hit. Okay. So after Trump halts bombing, U.S. official says military commanders advised Donald Trump they were running out of targets. We're running out of munitions. We're running out of patriots. We're running out of missiles. Every week that goes by, we're putting the United States at risk of attack because of this man's arrogance. But like I said, the higher power is the Rothschild family. They're making the decisions to destroy Iran and Russia. So this war is going to continue. Right? There might be a pause for us to make more missiles, but that's going to take time. But this war is on. Right? This war is on. But we're in big trouble because they didn't think this was going to last we're going on 6 months now with this war. Okay. And it's backfired. Okay. So it says Trump halts bombing. U.S. official says military commanders advised Trump they were running out of targets. Iran said on Monday it was still in control of the Strait of Hormuz and not seeking to resume peace talks with the United States. They don't want nothing to do with the United States. They don't want to sit down with nobody. The United States has lost all credibility. You know, the United States is the laughing stock, and the whole world can see. With the World Wide Web, everybody can see that. Our power. We gotta face reality. What's happening? Russia and China, they're gonna make their move. But like I said, it's gonna go nuclear. Israel and the United States are one, and it's going to go nuclear, because they're losing, especially Israel. They're losing in Lebanon on the battlefield. The Lebanese, the mercenaries, they're killing them, the Amalekites, right? The Jews out there. They're only good at bombing. That's what they're good at. Sending planes, dropping bombs on houses, apartments. And if you hear noises, that's my cats. They're playing right by the camera. Hopefully they don't knock the camera down. Cats are they're very nosy. They're playing around on the camera right now. But let's see here. It says after President Trump halted a 2-week bombing campaign that his top brass told him had run its course. Following 13 successive nights of intensifying bombing that provided Tehran to fire on U.S. bases in response. Every time we attacked, they attacked. It's a tit for tat, an eye for an eye. Okay? And tomorrow, there's so much information. I'm going to bring out more information of all the CIA bases that have been hit, and more U.S. military troops have been killed. Okay, we're going to bring more information on that. One, I believe there were 62 soldiers that were killed in one strike. All right, this is the cover-up that's happening. You're not going to hear this on your mainstream media. You're only going to hear that right here. And I'm going to be pushing these videos every day of what's going on. But Iran, the ancient Persian Empire, they hit every target. No American soldier or Israeli soldier is safe in the Middle East. Like I said, we're going to bring out more information on the ICBMs, and they can reach Europe, India. You know, their missiles could hit that whole region. No one's safe. Okay. 13 successive nights of intensifying bombing that provoked Tehran to fire on U.S. bases in response. Trump halted the campaign over the weekend. Iran said it would pause its own attacks for as long as the U.S. pause in bombing endures. The U.S. official told Reuters that military commanders had advised the president that they were running out of targets. Yeah, they're hitting all these targets and they're doing no damage. Now they hit, like I said, they hit colleges, schools, buildings, they killed civilians, but their military is underground. Their military bases are deep underground, under mountains, like here in NORAD, south of here in Colorado Springs. Right, it's under a mountain. Well, they've been building underground bases in Iran. It's a mountainous country. It's going to be a very difficult war when that ground war starts. And then Iranians are ready. Okay? They're ready for U.S. soldiers. So similar reports indicating that civilian and military aides had advised Trump to halt the campaign were carried over the weekend by the New York Times, CNN, and other news outlets. The Iranian government mocks U.S. President Donald Trump over control of the Strait of Hormuz by using public sarcasm, social media memes, and jabs to reject American claims of maritime authority. When Trump proposed a 20% U.S. toll on shipping cargo and claimed that the U.S. was the guardian of the Hormuz Strait, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi posted on social media that 20% is of course too much. He said, "We will be fair," asserting that Iran is the true and permanent guardian, repeatedly declaring that Iran holds the physical keys and historical guardianship over the choke point, dismissing the White House ultimatums as empty and unrealistic. Like I said, the United States, the White House, the Pentagon, your president here in the West is the laughing stock of the world. Okay? Even Great Britain is embarrassed. Right? They lost the war. They got their butt kicked in this war. Like I told you, they can't even land their planes at these military bases in the Middle East. They have to fly to Israel and Great Britain. Our U.S. bombers, our stealth bombers. All right, in Spain don't want no U.S. military planes, fighter jets landing in Spain. Okay, you have Europe, they're bucking up against Israel and the United States. But like I said, they have total control. The United States, they want to control the strait. They want to charge fees. They want all this money, and it's not going to happen. This war is going to turn nuclear. So on July 27th, like I said, I'm behind on the news now, but I want you brothers and sisters to catch up of what's happening. Things are moving so fast. I can't even keep up. But like I said, I made a little spot here where I can start pushing a lot of videos out. Okay? I still like to go to the parks. I used to go to downtown Denver, but it's too hectic down there. People were running off with my signs. It's just the police don't even have no control of downtown Denver. It's filled with a bunch of junkies, gangbangers, and a bunch of lowlifes that work downtown. And all your white collar, they're a bunch of garbage smells too. Everything down there. Every downtown city in America, call it uptown, downtown, it's trash. And half them buildings are empty. And it's all these major cities have turned into a dump. I don't even go down there. I don't even go. I won't even walk. I won't take my family. I used to love to walk around downtown for years. I used to go for my walks. I used to go up and down downtown. I stay away from it. It's like a plague down there. Okay. Like I said, I couldn't even speak. There were so much people interrupting. I had teenagers and kids throwing pennies and quarters at me. I even had white collar people dressed up, men and women attacking me. Because then people have demons on them too. They totally have lost their minds. Okay? They're all these people are new. Monday, July 27, Iran had struck the Aqaba airport. This was the Aqaba oil processing facility, the largest single oil processing facility in the entire world. This facility handles 7 million barrels a day of oil and half of all the oil that Saudi Arabia exports. Saudi Aramco has fully halted operations at the Aqaba airport. All these Arabic names. I have to write them down because language is Saudi Aramco has fully halted operations at its Aqaba oil processing facility following a major drone strike on July 27, 2026. The facility, recognized as the world's largest crude oil stabilization plant, processes between 5 and 7% of global oil supply, roughly 7 million barrels per day. The attack, a coordinated drone strike, targeted Saudi Aramco Abqaiq. So that oil facility is called Abqaiq. I said it was that's the airport. So I have to correct myself on that one. So going back to the Abqaiq oil processing facility, goes on, the attack coordinated drone strike targeted the Saudi Aramco Abqaiq facility and the nearby east-west pumping station. The damaged high-resolution Sentinel-2 and NASA firm satellite imagery confirmed a massive black plume of smoke and extensive fire activity across key processing infrastructure. The outage, the complete suspension of has removed an estimated 7 million barrels per day of stabilization capacity from the market, transforming a situation into a severe global supply shock. Geopolitical blame. Yemen's Houthi rebels claim responsibility for the strikes, but the Saudi Defense Ministry asserted that the drones were launched by Iran-backed militants originating from Iraqi territory. Saudi officials have stated they reserve the right to retaliate. So, you heard it there. These were the proxy military of Iran. They hit the largest oil processing facility, which is called Abqaiq. Okay, and the Saudi, the airport there is called the Al Rabah Airport, or the Al Qabah Airport. So let's go to Iran missile barrage hits U.S. air bases in Jordan. Now they have satellite images. They have totally destroyed these bases. Okay. But here in the United States, they're going to lie, and they're telling the American people that they intercepted, that they shot down these missiles. They might have hit a few, but they didn't hit them all, because every U.S. base has been hit. So Iran, and I'm looking at the images right here on this iPad. You can look it up. Europe is showing the images. China is showing the images. Russia is showing the images. Iran is showing the images. Okay. So you can get this information all over the world. But in the United States, everything's okay. Everything's great. Just like the U.S. economy, it's the strongest ever. Okay. This is all based on lies. So Iran missiles barrage hits U.S. air bases in Jordan. Viral footage shows failed Patriot intercepts as Middle East war widens. That's right. Footage shows that the Patriot intercepts have failed miserably in the Middle East. Iran's Revolutionary Guard escalates its missile campaign against American forces in the Middle East, striking Jordanian air bases as viral video raises questions about failed interceptions and mounting damage. Viral footage circulated on X since July 14, 2026 purports to show at least 4 Iranian ballistic missiles striking Jordan's King Faisal Air Base, complete with failed interceptions, and visible ground impacts. The clips fit a broader pattern that has played out repeatedly since late June, as Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has fired wave after wave of ballistic missiles at U.S.-linked facilities on Jordanian soil. The Patriots have failed, and the THAAD system. It also published, Iran published satellite images of confirmed damage to housing of buildings housing U.S. troops Because like I said, thousands are dead. But they're saying right now 19. And they're saying over 600 wounded. No. Thousands are dead of U.S. military. Right? Like I said, this is going to, in the future, in the months or years coming, people are going to be shaking their heads. The cover up of what's happening. This is more. A photograph circulating online, verified by the New York Times, shows the aftermath of the most recent strike on the Musawaf Salty Air Base in Jordan. The Muwafa. So the recent strikes on the Muwafa Salty Air Base in Jordan. Iran's precise hits on U.S. bases refer to retaliatory missile and drone strikes by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, targeting U.S. military infrastructure across the Middle East. Iranian attacks on 9 U.S. locations across the Middle East in the last 2 weeks since the ceasefire broke down, that the country maintains an ability to inflict damage on precise targets, despite the Trump administration's repeated claims that Iran's military capabilities have been diminished or destroyed. Okay? New York Times, all right? The Washington Journal. That's here in the United States. They've confirmed that everything that's coming out of the Pentagon are lies. Right? Where it says right here, the Iranian attacks on 9 U.S. locations across the Middle East in the last 2 weeks since the ceasefire broke down, that the country maintains an ability to inflict damage on precise targets. They're hitting every target. Despite the Trump administration's repeated claims that Iran's military capabilities have been diminished or destroyed. A New York Times visual analyst of U.S. military bases and other sites found the strikes have caused damage to living quarters and working areas. Drone shelters, radar systems, and other structures have been destroyed. Iran has targeted key military locations hosting U.S. and Allied assets in Jordan, primarily focusing on facilities like the Muwafa Salty Air Base, King Faisal Air Base, and the Tower 22 logistics outpost. Specific locations targeted: the Muwafa Salty Air Base, the Al Aziz, a primary regional hub for U.S. and Allied air operations that has absorbed multiple major ballistic missiles and drone barrages, resulting in structural damage and casualties. King Faisal Air Base hit in early strikes that damaged residential and support facilities. Tower 22, a remote logistical support outpost near the Syrian and Jordanian border. Prince Hassan Air Base listed among the military facilities targeted by incoming Iranian projectile salvos. The Aqaba Airport targeted during the broader long-range drone and missile volleys into the kingdom. U.S. government downplayed operational damage and losses during have all these live stream debates to keep you distracted. They're all actors. Okay? It's the bread and circuses here in America. Right? Because like I said, they're bringing in the one world order. That's why they're building those data centers. They're taking all the water. They're putting the water. They're going underground to the Denver World Airport, to NORAD, and many underground bases that we have here in the United States. They know what's coming. Okay? And the data centers are going to be tracking you. They're going to be bringing out that RFID chip, the devil's chip, and we're going to break it all down. All right? We're the only ones that have, the only men on earth that have 100% truth. You didn't find this by accident. You didn't find this channel by accident. Just like the other brothers, they have people following them. We have the 100% truth. Soon they're gonna knock this stuff down. Okay, you're not gonna be able to see me no more or any other brother out there. There's a great famine, so you have a physical famine coming to the world where food is gonna be scarce. You're not going to find food at the grocery stores. So you have that famine that's coming. It's twofold. And then you have the famine of the word. Okay? And we're in the time of distractions and confusion. So get your family prepared. This war is not going to end. It's not going to end. This war is going to continue. So right there, it says the U.S. government downplays operational damage and losses during active conflicts. Like I said, thousands of U.S. military soldiers have been killed. Have probably over 10,000 wounded. This is just the beginning. Okay? Every U.S. base has been destroyed. And now they're hitting, and we're going to bring that out tomorrow. They're hitting secret bases throughout the Middle East and killing CIA, Mossad, generals. Your commanders are being killed. This is the cover-up. You have Russia. You have China. They have satellites. Iran has satellites. You have Russia and China helping. This war, and they're finding every secret base, and Iran is hitting it. Right? Bullseye. Right? The Rothschilds, they're shaking in their boots. The end is near for the wicked, for the Epsteins, right? For all these pedophiles, all your senators, your Congress, your governors are perverts, creeps. They eat children. It's been look this stuff up. All these entertainers, Oprah Winfrey, they're all sickos. What's that one girl? That one that she looks like a boy with the blonde hair. She had that show. I call her. My mom used to watch that show. I said, "What are you watching this for? You lost your mind? What is it? The Degenerate show or whatever? That creep? They're all sick. All these people are sick. Right? But they, Hillary Clinton. There's actually videos of her killing children. It gets graphic. I don't want to even get into it. You have to go down the rabbit hole of what they do to children and drinking their blood. Alright, this place is sick. We've been talking about this for decades. People call us the crazies. The now the last 2 years, this stuff is coming out, and people are like, after you get deep into what's going on, especially you average Americans, you're going to lose it. When you found out, when these people are finding out that everything that you were taught was a lie, and the people that rule over you are a bunch of psychopaths and sociopaths and perverts. Okay, we're just exposing it. We've been exposing it for decades. Right? People are just starting to wake up with this, with the Epstein, and look, no one's been arrested. Right? They're protecting these people. Right? But God, the Lord, Yahweh Shai, He's exposing. He's bringing all wickedness to light. Everything, all these people are going to be exposed. Okay? But the U.S. Central Command reports intercepting many incoming threats. Independent investigation and satellite imagery confirmed that numerous Iranian missiles and drones have breached. Hear that? Iranian missiles and drones have breached regional air defenses. They're actually useless. And they haven't even bring out the big ones yet. Right? You can go on YouTube and look up the underground bases in Iran. Russia has it. Like I said, Russia has 5,000 to 9,000 nuclear ICBMs. Now, Iran has hundreds of thousands of short-range missiles that can reach every city in Europe. That can reach India. All right. Remember, Russia and Iran are together. This war is going to go nuclear, and it's in the Holy Book about the fire, nuclear fire that's coming. But their Iranian missiles and drones have breached regional air defenses. That's why all these bases have been destroyed. And now they're targeting their secret bases. And they're killing them. They see the United States and Israel. They thought they could just go all over the world, cross borders. They've been doing it for decades and killing. But now, they're getting hit. Right? And you have Israel going to the United Nations. They always play victim. The United States, we play victim. Always remember, they're the aggressors, they're the bully, but when someone else punches them in their face, they cry. They want to become the victim. Right? Now you have the ancient Persian Empire that's destroying all their assets, and they're getting hit and they're being murdered. They're being killed. You think it only goes one way? No, it goes two ways. Right? They want to punch, they're getting punched. Right? They want to drop bombs on Iran and hit their infrastructure, hit their bases, and their water plants. Well, Iran is retaliating and they're hitting everything. But the United States hitting all their assets and the Arab states, right? Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan. Right? They're hitting U.S. assets that are in Iraq. So it says breach regional air defenses, causing verified structural damage and personal casualties at multiple bases. There's more here. As of July 2026, the ongoing war with Iran is highly unpopular with the majority of American recent polling data. Indicates recent says the ongoing war with Iran is highly unpopular with the majority of American public. Recent polling data indicates that roughly 2/3 of U.S. adults believe the military conflict is not worth fighting. Historical context. See, 2/3 of Americans, 2/3 of Americans don't agree with this war. That's a recent polling data indicates that roughly 2/3 of U.S. adults believe the military conflict is not worth fighting. Historical context provided by political analysts. Political analyst notes that the Iran war has become widely reviled far more quickly than modern conflicts like Vietnam, Iraq, or Afghanistan, which took years to reach similar levels of disapproval. See, them wars took years before there was protest. This has happened within 6 months. But right from the start, people were against this. It was all on false accusations coming from Israel. Okay? Because the prime minister there, he's controlled by the Rothschild family. All right? Like I said, it's a crusade, and you're not going to hear that in the news. They want to purge the whole Middle East, take out the whole Middle East, and take out Russia. But it took years to reach these levels for Vietnam, Iraq, or Afghanistan. And remember, we lost to Afghanistan. That was the longest war. I believe it was over 20 years. And I think it was like around 23. But we left with our tail between our legs. We left military assets in Afghanistan and left with our tail between our legs. But remember, Afghanistan, these guys lived in caves, wearing sandals, carrying AK-47s, and couldn't destroy them. Iran has 90 million people, and they have a military right now of 2 million soldiers, and they can have 10 million men ready for war within 3 months. They're lined up. All them ancient Persians, Iranians, they're lined up to go to war against the United States. They can't wait. Their mentality is different than here in the United States. These young kids that went to the military, they went because of school, because they were too poor to pay for school. Just like during Vietnam, those guys that were drafted were poor kids. The rich kids didn't go to Vietnam. Just like your boy Donald, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. All the college boys and all that, and he dodged the draft because he was in a military school. All right? But the rich, they don't send their kids to war. That's only for the poor kids and the middle class kids. Right? People that can't afford college. During Vietnam, the ones that were in college, they didn't go. The other kids were drafted, sent, and they were massacred. Right? You had over 70,000 Americans died in that war. You had hundreds of thousands that lost their legs and arms. And then you had over 1 million wounded in Vietnam. And they lost the war. But it wasn't about, the war was based on communism, to overthrow communism. We lost that war, and the same people are still controlling Vietnam. But it was the bigger picture is they make money on war. We love to start wars. It's not their children. They're sending your children to fight the wars. It's big money for Martin Marietta and Boeing and all the big corporations. They all make money. So it says right here, which took years to reach similar levels of disapproval. Most say the war with Iran is not worth fighting. Reflects public opinion. Data showing that a strong majority of U.S. adults believe the military conflict, human and financial costs outweigh any strategic gains. An unpopular war with Iran is a military conflict that lacks public backing. That's why they're lying so much about our U.S. assets being destroyed. He's a pathological liar. All of them are. But he's on a different level. Yours truly. German Donald. He's on a whole different level. I mean, he was trained. Deny, attack. Win. That's all that comes out of his mouth. He never talks about failure. So, when you see a man like that, which he's a narcissist, right? He always wants to be, he wants the light to shine on him. He wants the limelight. He wants to be like, he always wants to be the one that makes the most money. He's the one that brings peace, but he's really the one that starts the fire. But he always wants to be in the headlines. This guy is a fraud, a pedophile. All them guys are though. They're all those politicians are perverts. But these people are sick. All right, people are sick, but people are slowly waking up. People are waking up. With 2/3 of Americans viewing it as not worth fighting and expressing deep concern over the risk to service members, lives, and rising costs at home. If they knew the truth, you'd probably see tens of thousands of people marching if they knew the thousands of men that have lost their lives and women that have lost their lives. But they're going all out, like I said. Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Satan and his children will have a short time. So they're going all out. Israel is going all out. Fighting. Let me see over here. An unpopular war with Iran is a military conflict that lacks public backing, with roughly 2/3 of Americans viewing it as not worth fighting and expressing deep concern over the risk to service members, lives, and rising costs at home. Public disapproval and statistics. Poll numbers, recent data from organizations like APNORC shows that about 68% of Americans say the war with Iran has not been worth fighting. Loss of life, human cost is a central worry for families and citizens, with multiple U.S. service members killed in the region since the conflict began. A forever war is an open-ended, protracted military conflict that lacks a clear path to victory. A decisive ending are defined strategic objectives. Americans view the ongoing conflict with Iran as unpopular due to surging gas prices, escalating financial costs, mounting casualties, and fears that the engagement will turn into an endless entanglement. This is the last war for America. There ain't going to be no more wars after this. This is it. There's more news. Like I said, I'm trying to catch up on this so I can keep you up to date with all the new stuff that's happening. The U.S. News, the Pentagon reports more than 600 Iran war casualties in a quiet database update. Figures are source of dispute as U.S. Defense Department days ago reduced record of troops killed and wounded. And that's what they're doing. They're changing the numbers with epic fury, and then when they did the pause and when they restarted it, the numbers, they changed the numbers. They're trying to keep it as low as possible, but now they're confirming over 600 have been wounded. But just in the last 2 weeks, we're going to get into it, more than 200 soldiers have been killed in 2 weeks. Okay, well, let's start with this article here. The Trump administration is hiding American casualties of war. The U.S. government is keeping American casualty numbers for the Iran war secret. The administration is unwilling to level with the American people about the cost of war. Of course, they're unwilling. Right? They have to deny everything. Right? The Zionists in Israel and America. It's all controlled by Zionists. Amalekites. Okay, those are not the rural Hebrews. They're not from the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and the lost tribes, the northern kingdom. Their DNA goes back to Esau. The grandfather's Esau, and they're the grandson, the Amalekites. All right, and they love war. That's their blessing is the sword, and they're pathological liars. That's in the Holy Book. Right when they're born, they speak lies. There's no truth to them, from the greatest to the least. That's when you know you're dealing with Edomites. They lie about everything. They have no guilt. All right? Like Jakes, if you're part of us, of the 12 tribes of Israel, Matthew chapter 15, verse 24, Matthew chapter 10, verse 5 and 6, we have guilt. Now, are we perfect? No. But when we do smack somebody around, we have guilt. If we do something bad, we have that guilt. Oh, we shouldn't have done that. And we ask for forgiveness. Esau doesn't ask for forgiveness. He doesn't think he does anything wrong. We have that, like, when we look around, we know we did something bad, and we feel guilty. Okay? That's the difference between Esau and Jacob. Esau has no remorse. He has no accountability. He has no mercy on nobody. But when somebody attacks him, he screams the loudest. He's playing the victim. Always remember, us Jakes, we take our punishment. You see that shooting that happened over there in what was it, in Idaho, at that In-N-Out Burger? I'll have to do more research on it. There's so much news. I'm more about the world news more than the local news. But the guy went off, and who was it? An Edomite kid. And they actually kept it on the down low. Now, if that would have been an Arab, right? You see how they act out in New York with that mayor, and the Jews are the ones that put that man Nami or whatever his name is in New York. We'll have to do more a video on him. That the Jews, they run New York City, they run Washington D.C., the Pentagon. That's all run by those Amalekites, the Zionists. They put that guy in there so they're getting division to get people all wild up. That's what they do. play both sides. They get people in there so people can be divided, so they can conquer. They're going to let everybody fight it out. All right, like I said, the race wars are coming, and civil war, and we're already in world war. This is what's coming to the United States. So the casualties of war, it says here, the Pentagon appears to be engaged in a casualty cover-up. U.S. soldiers killed as a result of Donald Trump's military onslaught in Iran. Department of Defense has used outdated numbers and statements on casualties, resulting in an undercount of how many troops have been wounded or killed. The Trump administration, and I don't want people to start tripping here, that you have people that look white that are Israelites. Okay? Just like I told you the other day, that Esau has been all over the world. Okay? Esau has been all over the world. Right? He put his seed in Latin America. He went to India, Africa. So you have Edomites that are light-skinned, Mediterranean look, the Latin look, and black. They went into Africa, North Africa, West Africa. We can go all the way back to Alexander the Great and the four generals. Like I said, I'm going to do a lesson on that. They went into Africa. So you have black Edomites. You have brown Edomites. And you have the ones that you see, politicians that look like the regular Edomite. Alright? Well, it's the same thing with Jacob. We went all over the world. We went through North Africa, West Africa, South Africa, the Middle East, to India. Jakes are all over the world. That's why after the Lord went to heaven, after he was crucified, he went to, before he went to heaven, when he was with the apostles, and he told them, I'm leaving to the Father, Yahweh, and I leave you with the wolves. And he told them, go preach the word. Go preach the word of God to the world. And the apostles went, and they were all killed. But John, they went as far as India, to Saudi Arabia, throughout the Middle East, Europe, the apostles. So Jacob is all over the world. You have Jacob that are Mediterranean skin, you have that bronze look, you have brothers and sisters that are dark skin, and you have them that have blonde hair. Matter of fact, one of my sisters, my dad was with a few women. I have sisters and brothers. My father was with two women. I have a sister, real light blonde hair. I have a brother that had dirty blonde hair. My brothers and sisters from my mom all came out with dark skin, olive skin. We're all over the world, so I don't get it twisted. Because you have people like, oh, what is he talking about? You have Esau and you have Jacob. That's why God says he's going to let them both grow together. Let me finish this up because this video is going to get too long. I'll probably just start the rest tomorrow. There's just so much stuff going on, but we're going to go ahead and close this out because we're probably over an hour now. All praises to the Most High God forever and ever, so let it be true. Thank you for watching. I'm going to be putting 1-2 videos out every single day. Hope all you brothers and sisters were edified with this news update. There's more. I have so much written down. Can't even keep up with it. Thank you for watching.